All right, so here we go. I'm going to start naming objects here, okay? So we are going to have this one as our floor or the base of that one. So it's going to be a little bit different because we haven't done any sub-object manipulation on the object. So there has to be everything as a whole object, all right? So I'm going to be using scale and movement tools, not much on rotation. However, we'll have to do one edit mode here so that we can create a what you call a cyclorama. A cyc is basically a technique used in studios so that you can make your background and your floor looks like it's seamless, like it goes on forever. So it's basically like a little kind of it's a curved corner basically. Okay, so let's take a look here with our objects. I'm going to go to Add, Mesh, and I'm going to use Taurus. So Taurus is basically the 3D donut. Here we go. So we got one. I'm going to go press top here, number 7 on my numpad. Okay, and as you can see, if I zoom in, I'm looking at it from the top. My base for the toy is smaller than my cylinder. So what I can do is I'm going to scale this so that it's actually a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to turn on my transparency here so that I could actually see the cylinder in the square so that I can resize it. Okay, so first thing is that we're going to name the first donut. Okay, so we're going to call this a ring 01 because we're going to have 6 of them. And then we're going to call this one the base. So I'm going to double click cube right here, rename it to base, and I'm going to scale it. So this is from the top. I'm going to hit my scale button right here, or you can press S. Okay, let me turn on my screencast so you can actually see all my keyboard shortcuts right here. So I can press S too, or I can just click this white ring while the scale tool is on. And I'm just going to make that slightly bigger. All right, so you can see there's a little bit of gap right there. I'm going to press number 1 on my numpad or go to the front. Or you can click your X right there, it'll go to the front. I'm in the front viewport. So you can see now for the base, I want this to be a lot shorter. So I want to scale it along the up and down axis, which is the blue or Z axis. So I'm going to click and drag that. And then kind of around the same thickness, let's say, as the first donut. I'm going to go to my move tool, click on the up and down arrow, and kind of position that in there so that the donut is sitting on my base right here. Okay, what I'll do is turn off my X-ray now, and let's take a look. All right, there it is. So the donut is sitting on top. However, we want to see this donut in a smoother shade, and that's easy to do. All we have to do here is right click the donut, and you have the option for shade smooth. Okay, once you do your shade smooth, you can see it's still not as smooth because you can see it's a faceted one, but it's a lot smoother than the faceted look. So shade flat to bring it back, shade smooth to do that. All right, so I'm going to go to the front. I'm going to click on where's my Y right there? There you go, front. Okay, click on the Y to see it front, or press number 1 on your numpad. Okay, so now I want to duplicate. Okay, so duplicating, it's basically recreating the same object but not starting from scratch. Okay, so to duplicate is pretty easy. We go to object and then duplicate object. Okay, the keyboard shortcut is Shift D. Okay, I can just click object duplicate here. Okay, and as soon as I move my mouse, it's moving already because Blender assumes that when you duplicate, you want to move it. But that's not always the case. At this point, right, we want to leave it where it's at. So in order for me to cancel the movement while I'm moving the mouse right, I simply right click and it goes back in position. Okay, do you still see the can you see the duplicate? It's hard to see because it occupies the same space, but my outliner or my selection right here says that I have a ring 1 and a ring 2, right? It's called 001 because that's the appending number. So I can rename this to ring 002 Okay, and then move it up. All right, there's my duplicate. Okay, so now we want these rings to basically start getting smaller, little by little. Okay, so in order to do that, I can scale it, but we won't be able to track our progress with that. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to press N to get my view again. Okay, my property window pop up by pressing N as in number. And I can go to the items tab, and you can see your location, rotation, and scale. So these are all the transform tools. Everything that we do here, we have a figure right here. So remember, we moved this up along the z-axis. You see the number change right here on the z? Okay, there it is. So if I want to put that back like so, like there, and then the scale is 111 because I haven't scaled it. So if I want this smaller, I will simply type in on the number XYZ to, let's say, 0.9, so it shrinks by 10%. Okay, so if I want to add just one number here for all XYZ, I click and drag my mouse like so. Then all these numbers will change when I type in 0.9. You see this one, it's shrunk about 10%. Okay, if you can't do that one, like click and drag all this, type in 0.9, you can type in 0.9 on each one. That will also do the trick. All right, let's take a look. There it is. So we got ring 2 as smaller number. So I'm gonna keep doing this. Object, duplicate object, right click to cancel, move it up, change the scale to 0.8, rename the ring to 03, kind of move it up a little bit, z-axis only. As you can see, I'm not moving any other axis, so I'm making sure it's only going up. All right, I'm going to duplicate again. Now I'm going to do keyboard shortcut this time. Okay, Shift D, cancel by right clicking, moving it up, 0.7, so it shrank a little bit, move it up along the z-axis only. Ring 04, object, duplicate object, right click to cancel, move it up, 0.6, right there. Okay, one last one, duplicate object, right click to cancel, move it up, 0.5, shift middle click drag to pan my camera down, move it up like so. So this one is ring 05, this one is ring 06. Okay, so let's take a look at our object. So I'm going to middle click drag and see our object. There it is. I'm going to click on EV right here, our viewport render. That's what it looks like. All right. So we have to add two more things here, but this time I'm going to hide everything except for the top ring right here. So it's the same thing as other program. If you look at the collection here, there's an eye icon. Okay, if I turn off that eye icon, I'm hiding those other objects. I only want to see the top ring and the base right here. Okay, because I want to add that cylinder that's kind of connected to the base that will actually hold the ball right here to lock all the rings in place. I don't know if you played the toy, but that's how it is. So I'm going to click Add Mesh Cylinder. As you can see, the cylinder here is the wrong size. Okay, but I'm going to position it first up here. I'm going to click S or scale to shrink this. I'm going to click on the white circle right here to kind of shrink this one. Best way to view it is from the top. So I'm going to press 7 on the numpad to look at it from the top. And as you can see, if I shrink it, it has to be smaller than the smallest inside ring of the donut. Does that make sense? Right there. Okay. And then what I can do here, if I go to the front by pressing number 1 on the numpad, I'm going to scale it so that, and then move it So it's connected to the base, and it has this little kind of opening up here, so we can put the ball on top. Now we can put this one, call this cylinder, I don't know, which one is this? Base stick. I don't know. Just to give it a name. Okay, there it is. All right. And I want to combine the two. I'm going to select the base and then shift click the base stick. All right, so I got them both selected. So let me do that again. Select the base first, shift click the other object, and then to join them, okay, you can do join object right here, or do Command J or Control J in Windows. So I'm going to click object and then join. They now become one object. Okay, so a base stick, so I should have selected the stick first then the base, but don't matter. I'm just going to go rename it to just the base. So this is now one object. Okay, I'm also going to unhide all the other ones so we can see them get formed in there. I'm going to go to the front. Okay, I'm going to get another object, mesh UV sphere, not icosphere, but UV. Okay, there's our UV sphere. It's massive. I mean, plastic is cheap, right? We could probably buy a toy like this, but probably not very good with transporting it. Right click it, smooth shade, scale it, scale that down a bit, go to the front here. Okay, it's probably good enough. I'm going to go to the move tool. All right, that would probably work. Maybe lower it down a little bit. Okay, so we're done with the model. We just need to create the background for this. Okay, so I'm going to click on number 0 to take a look at my camera. All right, so there's the camera. It's a terrible shot because it's not even showing the entire thing. It's cut off right there. So I need to make sure that I'm locking my camera, or this one right here, to my view. So I'm going to go press N. It's already up. Go to the View tab. Put a check mark on Lock Camera to View. Okay. Now I can move my camera and it will show me what I'm supposed to see here. All right, so what I'll do is first change my camera. Let's say we're doing an Instagram post, right? So let's go with a square aspect here. If you look down here in the control panel, okay, you will see a DSLR or camera back, and then it looks like a printer icon. It's a printer icon with a paper sticking out. So if I click that, you will see here that my resolution for my render is 1920 by 1080. It's actually HD video. What if I want to make this one into a square aspect? I simply match my X resolution with my Y. So if I actually type in 1920, what's supposed to be 1080, as you can see, I get a square photo now. Okay? And since I lock my camera to view, I can middle click drag and kind of get a better shot of this one. So let's say that's my shot right there, a little bit of quarter view. Okay, and I want to keep it that way. So now I have to, well, maybe go like so, not too dead center on the quarter turn. Okay, so now all I have to worry about now is creating a background. So in Real Studio Shot, you will actually have a background that would be wide enough so that you don't see it cut out right here, and tall enough so that you don't see it get cut on your framing. Okay, so I'm going to press 0 here to get out of camera mode, or click this icon right here, and then we will now create that background. Okay, that background is simply a cube with deleted parts. Okay, so I'm going to get a cube. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but since we're recording this video, it's going to be easy for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to get a cube, go to add mesh and then cube, and I want to scale this cube. I want to go to my scale right here. I want to scale this one and make it kind of big. Okay, how big? Well, let's take a look at our camera. So press 0. All right, I'm going to go to wireframe here. Okay, so the cube, we could still see the ending right here. So it's not as big yet, but that's fine for now. We can always scale this after. Okay, so let's go here to shaded mode or to EV, then press 0 again to get out of camera mode. So everything is inside right now. Okay, this is the front right here. We'll press 1. Okay, that is the front right here. So while this object is selected, if you look up here, it says object mode, change to edit mode. All right, we're jumping the gun here a little bit, but since this lesson is recorded, you can easily follow after. Okay, so again, object mode first, and then I went to edit mode, and we have 3 icons right here. The first one is to select points. The next one is to select edges. The third one is to select faces. So we want to select all the faces, the top, the front, delete those. Select the sides, press X, and delete the faces. So we're down to this one. It's just the back and the floor. Okay, so it's way high. So I want to move this up so that our object is actually sitting on top of that. Let's take a look at our camera. All right, so our camera, I need to rotate this way, okay, because that's actually the front. And it's not wide enough, you can see, but it's tall enough. So I'm going to press 0. Okay. I want to make sure that this thing is wide enough, so I'm going to go to scale. And this is the direction where we can get this wide, so I'm going to make this wide, like so. Let's click back on camera. All right, it's actually way wider, but 3D objects are free. We don't have to worry about. Okay, but what you notice here, there's a cut on the floor. Okay, so we will not get that kind of infinity look, that infinite background that looks like it's so far that you don't see a cut. Okay, so we're going to have to do something with that. So I'm going to get out of camera mode. While this object is still selected, I'm going to go back to edit mode. Okay, edit mode is when you're working with individual parts of the object. Object mode is when you're working with the object as a whole. Okay, so I'm going to go back to edit mode here. Select edge, which is the second one. Keyboard shortcut is number 2. And I'm going to select this edge here. What I'll do with this, I'm going to bevel it to make it smooth. Okay, so again, advanced lesson stuff, but since you're watching a recorded video, you should be fine. I'm going to click on bevel tool right here. I'm going to drag this yellow contraption here. As you can see, I get that kind of slant. Okay, and what I want with a slant is I want to add segments to it. So there's a bevel option right here. I'm going to open it up with that triangle. I'm going to add some segments. So I just drag that. I put 34. It doesn't matter. But as you can see here, if I go back to object mode and right click this shade smooth, I'm going to press 0 for camera. There's that infinite background look now. Do you see it? We no longer see the cut. So all we need to do now is light this and color, and it should be done. Okay, so with the coloring, it's quite easy. We need to go to our shader. So this matters when we're which one we're selecting. So that I don't accidentally move, rotate, or scale. I'm going to switch back to my select tool here, so that none of those tools are active. So I'm going to click on this one. If we go here, this icon right here is your shader tab. I'm going to click it. As you can see, there's no material for this. So while this object selected, I'm going to click new. Okay, and it says material 1 right here. So I'm just going to call this one red. Okay, red right there. And then under base color, simply drag the color to red. As you can see, we see red right here. And this is only possible because we're in the render viewport. We're on the fourth one. We're on the third one. There's this massive light. So if you're on shaded, you'll never see the color. No chance on wireframe. So you have to be on the 4th icon right here. Okay. So also on the roughness, that's how we make this thing shiny. So if I give this, let's say 0.25 roughness, as you can see, it gotten a lot more shiny. If I go no roughness, look how shiny that thing is. It's like you poured cooking oil on it. Okay, so but that's too much. If you go to 1, that's super rough. It's like coarse surface plastic. So we go here. 2.5 should be good. All right, I'm gonna go to this one. Let's color this one. There's no color for it. I'm gonna click new. I don't know which one. Green. Green. I'm gonna go with green. I'm gonna call it green. Then make it green. Roughness 0.25. Something in there. Next one. New. Yellow. Roughness 0.25. Next one. New. Blue. Okay, next one. I don't know, I'm running out of basic colors here. Gary, what's your favorite color? Got it. I read his mind, folks. There you go. Classic. I forgot to tone down the roughness on my blue, so let me do that. And then this one here, I don't know, orange. I'm gonna go orange. Make it a little shiny, 0.25. Okay, the top one here, I'm just gonna pick yellow. So instead of adding a new one, I want to add an existing one. So I'm just gonna click on this down arrow right here, pick the yellow, and it inherited that same color. For the base and the stick, we just want to keep it white. However, we're just gonna call the material white. So we're naming it, okay? I'm gonna make that, it doesn't matter how shiny it is because it's fairly angular. You're not gonna see the bevelness, you're not gonna see the shininess in there. The background, cube right here, we're gonna change that. We're gonna call this one background. I don't know. So as you can see here, we're naming everything, right? Click new. We're gonna call this one background or just BG. Okay. We'd like to give this a super light color right there. Okay. So we just need to add lights. Okay. There's one light already. So if I press 0 to get out of camera mode. By the way, whenever you press your numpad or any of this keyboard shortcut, your mouse needs to be inside the working window. If your mouse cursor is hiding here or residing any parts, not the working window, it will not work. So you can see I'm pressing 0 here. It's not getting out of camera mode. You see it? But if I move my cursor back into the working environment, press 0, I go out. All right, so there's our light. I don't want that light. I want something new, so I'm going to press delete. Okay. Why do we still see stuff in here? Because there's an ambient lighting default on Blender. Your world tab will always be grayish, so don't worry about that though. Okay, I'm gonna select our world now. Let's add some lights. So simply same thing, add, instead of mesh, we add light. We're gonna use area light. All right, there. It's aimed down, so you ain't gonna see anything from it. Okay, so I'm gonna click on my move tool. Okay, with the area light selected, and I'm gonna move it up. So think of area light like a fluorescent lamp or an LED photography box light. As you can see, it's not big enough. I'm gonna scale it. Not big enough. I'm also gonna move it up. It's not powerful enough. So let's go to the light panel. With the light selected, okay, I'm going to click here. The power, it says 10 watts. That's not enough. So I'm going to give it 1,000 watts because electricity is free in Blender. Whoa, there we go. So nice lights already. Okay, so we're going to go for that Target commercial look. So they usually do this type of lighting. We have one at the top. I'm going to click number 1 here to the front. Okay. I'm going to go to wireframe so you could see where these lights are. I'm going to duplicate this. And then move it here. Oops, sorry. Okay, it's still aiming down. We're going to rotate it so it's aiming at the toy. And I'm going to move it slightly here and back. Okay, let's take a look at our 0. All right, there it is, but the light is still cutting off right here. Okay, so I'm just going to press 0. Move the light back a little bit more. Duplicate this light again. So I got another one. I'm going to rotate it so that it's aiming at the object. So basically I have 2 lights aimed at both directions. And I'm going to press 0 and voila, it's done. I need to move this light a little bit more up right here because we could see the end right there. I'm going to go number 1, which is the front. I'm going to move it up like so. Press 0. There's our object. Okay, so and the project is done at this point, so we just need to take a snapshot of this. Okay, so to take a snapshot, I just need to go to render and render image. All right, there you go. So Blender said it's all done. That's what it is. Of course, there's a lot of things you can enhance on this one, so on and so forth. We could also smooth the base, but for now that should be good. And then once you have this render, you're not done yet. You have to actually go to image and then save a copy. If you don't do this, you won't get a copy once you close Blender. Okay? Plus you always have to save Blender also. Okay? So I'm just going to call this one Rainbow Ring Homework. And then we're going to make it into a PNG is fine. PNGs are great. They're good looking and they're small. Compression 0. Save it somewhere. I'm going to put it on the desktop. Save as image. There it is. Okay? And that one is saved already. While you're working on Blender, as you can see, I didn't save because I already have this pre-save and whatnot. Always save while you're working because you could crash any moment. Okay? All right, so I'm going to end the recording here.